Last Saturday, we're talking about the Buddha as the guide of the right path. The right path means the straight path without any bends or crookedness. It is a straight path. If a guide is a genuine guide, then such a path will be straight. And if one walks this path, one is bound to reach a land of peace, freedom from suffering, freedom from harm, freedom from danger, and land of peace and happiness. So Buddha is given the epithet of being a good guide. And what are today we shall discuss both from the theoretical and practical aspects. What are the right paths? What constitutes right path and what constitutes the right destination? The Dhamma is given as Sumeka, the right path, is just like the right path, Sumeko via. That is the epithet given to the Dhamma, the teachings. This is the right path. Right path means the path without any crookedness, any bends. This is a straight path. And Kembanat Bhumi, the land of peace, the land of freedom from harm, such is the right destination. As for worldly beings, most of the time they indulge in wrong path, crooked path, path which is not straight. That means they tend to commit the 10 forms of immoral deeds, dojaritas, namely immoral deeds physical by body, immoral deeds by speech, immoral deeds by mind. There are 3 physical immoral conduct, namely killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. They constitute the 3 physical bodily misconduct. And as for Vachidocharita, immoral deed by speech, verbal immoral conduct, there are 4, namely telling falsely, false speech, malicious talk, harsh speech, indulging in harsh speech, indulging in meaningless conversations. All these things constitute the Vachidocharita, verbal immoral deed. They are crooked path, not straight path, not the right path. And as for the third one, the Manodocharita, mental immoral deeds, they are of 3, namely covetousness, wishing to possess others' property by force, not in a legal way, such as covetousness, and wishing to do harm to others. All these things are obsessed in the mind, wishing to do harm to others, wishing to kill others, wishing to persecute others. All these things are forming in one's thoughts and ideas. In essence, they are ill will, aversion, anger. And the third item is the not believing in karma and karma result, and not believing in doing wholesome and unwholesome deeds, and the results of wholesome and unwholesome deeds. Taking the view that once one's body breaks up and dies, that's the end of it. There's no more. So if one does not believe in the continued existence, then one also will not believe in the results of wholesome and unwholesome deeds. Taking that even if you commit unwholesome deeds, there will be no unwholesome results, no unwholesome consequences. And even if you perform good deeds, you will not bring about happy consequences. Such kind of views are wrong views, wrong understanding. And these 3 things constitute Manodocharita, mental misconduct. So this way, with the 3 physical or bodily misconduct, 4 verbal misconduct, and 3 mental misconduct make up 10 immoral deeds, dujritas. All these things means right and the wrong path, the path which is not straight, not the right path. So, to be free from this is the right path. Not just abandoning by being free from this, to be free from this, and this can only be done with the path relevant respective path consciousness. So, how do we practice the right path? In essence, the right path means the noble path of a constituent, which is made up of sila, making up the path of morality or morality path, the samadhi, concentration path, and the wisdom path. All these things constitute sumeka, the right path. The 3 kaya dujritas, bodily misconduct, called this kaya vanka, meaning physical crookedness, not being straight bodily. And as for the 4 verbal misconduct, vajidojita, they are also known as vajivanka, not straight or crookedness by speech, not being straightforward verbally. And as for the 3 mental dojritas, the mental misconduct, they are known as manovanka, mental crookedness. They are wrong path, miserable path. So the right path is, the reverse is true for the right path, namely the noble path of 8 constituents. So if one walks this path of 3 kaya dojritas, physical misconduct, then one is bound to fall into the wrongful destinies, because one's intentions, volitional acts are wrong. Then one is bound to reap the evil consequences. So, as for one is bound to meet with danger in this case. And if one commits the 4 kinds of vajidojrita, verbal misconduct, one is also, since this is the wrong path, crooked path, one will reach the wrong destination. One will bring about evil consequences. One will come to harm and danger. So, if one is not committing all these things, one is said to be walking the right path by one is conducting one's physical, verbal behavior in the right way. If one commits these things, unwholesome deeds, immoral deeds by body and speech, what are the results? The results are given as 4. That means, if one looks back, one reflects upon oneself. Every time one reflects upon oneself about one's misconduct, one's wrongful deeds, one will blame oneself, and there will be self-blame, and there will be low self-esteem because one has done wrongful things, especially when at the dying moment one will be afraid of oneself, one will be very much worried and afraid of having done these wrongful deeds. And such kind of harm is known as atanuvarabhaya. That means the danger of self-blame. That is because one walks the wrong path, one reaches the wrong destination in terms of self-blame. Now the second danger is, even if one is not blaming oneself, one will be blamed by the society, by the community in which one is living. Because the community, the society will find out that you have done wrongful things by body and speech. So they will criticize you, they will blame you, and such harm is known as paranupadabhaya, the danger of blame by the society, blame by others, especially blame by the virtuous. They will not recognize you as a good person, so you will not be worth living as a human being. So, and if you commit unwholesome deeds and transgress the existing laws of the country, you may be liable to be disciplined by the authorities according to the existing laws, in which case you may suffer, you may be persecuted, and there may be a lot of harm and danger as a result of that. Such is the result of walking the wrong path. And because your volitional act, cetana, intentions are bad, are evil, you are bound to fall into miserable destinies. When your body breaks up and dies, such is dogati bhaya, danger of wrongful destiny. That is because you walk the wrong path, crooked path which is not straight, you meet with danger. And all these things are the wrongful, evil consequences as a result of walking the wrong, crooked path. So, such are the things which constitute the wrongful path and the wrongful consequences, wrongful destinies, wrongful destination. So, one has to be free from walking these wrongful paths by body and speech. That means one should be able to be free from the three grades or categories of impurities, namely the coarse form of impurity, that's transgressive defilements, the medium form and the refined form, and they have to be overcome. First on the part-time basis, with the practice of insight knowledge, with the cultivation of insight knowledge, and on a full-time basis, with the realization of the relevant or respective path consciousness. Then you will be free from such harm, and you are said to be walking the right, straight path. If you do that, there will be no harm come to you. You will come to a land of peace, land of freedom from danger and harm. So, just imagine, if you reflect upon yourself, because you are free from all these immoral deeds, physically and verbally, and you will always be satisfied with your activities for your life, and you will not blame yourself. There will be no self-blame, no self-blame, and loss of self-confidence, no low self-esteem, and also you will not be blamed by others, especially by the virtuous. You'll be free from that because you walk the right path, and because you are doing rightful things. You are not transgressing. You cannot be transgressing the existing laws of the country. You will not suffer for anything except for what you've done in the past. That is different. But as for the present karma, you will not suffer any consequences of the present good deeds. So you'll be free from this danda paya, danger of being disciplined by the existing laws or the authorities of the country. And because your physical verbal behaviors are straightforward and always never crooked, and your volitional actions are good, intentions are wholesome, you are sure that you are bound to reach good destinies. You will never fall into evil destinies. No dogati paya, there will be only sukati bhava existence. It means good existence, good destinies. So that there will be no dogati paya. So in this way, walking the right path, you will reach the right destination, which is the result of walking the right path. So this is how one becomes free from, by being free from these two kinds of immoral deeds, kaya doshita, bodily misconduct, and vachi doshita, verbal misconduct. You are free from physical and verbal wrongdoing, and free from evil consequences. At this point, the power of Dhamma, the quality of Dhamma comes to the fore, becomes obvious. That is the right path leading to the right destination. If one walks straight on the right path, one is bound to reach the right destination, the land of freedom, the land of peace, the land of freedom from harm and danger. So all one has got to do is practice or walk as guided and walk straightly, then one will be sent to the right destination, the land of peace. So Sumeka, the right path, is the sure path, sure practice, and it gives bring about sure consequences, good consequences in terms of reaching the Kemanta Bhumi, land of peace, Abhaya Bhumi, land of freedom from harm and danger. So such are the right path leading to right destination, right path, right consequences, right practice, right consequences. So in this way, the quality of Dhamma becomes apparent now. That is, Dhamma bears the Dhamma practitioner. Dhamma protects and guides the Dhamma practitioner. The Dhamma bears, sustains, helps and uplifts the Dhamma practitioner or Dhamma bearer. So, who is the Dhamma bearer? The one who practices in accordance with the principles of the Dhamma. That is the person who walks the right path, and that person will be sent to the right destination. Such is the quality of the Dhamma. Hence, the expression Dhammam Saranam Gacchami that we have been reciting, I go for refuge to the Dhamma, which will become meaningful. Only then the Dhamma, the refuge, will be permanent and persistent. The Dhamma practitioner, the one who walks the right Dhamma path, the right path, to reach the right destination, the destiny of assurance, means that first of all, he or she must have these qualities. That is, first study or learn what the correct practice is, what are the things the one should conduct oneself in physically, verbally and mentally in a good way to reach the good destination, the good destiny, the place of the land of peace. So this such is Suttamaya Jnana. This is knowledge by learning. You don't need to study the entire Pitakas, the scriptures, in order to qualify this first thing. So long as you have general knowledge, it is good enough. So in this way, you are fulfilling the first requirement. As for the second one, you must undertake that practice as you have studied. That means you walk the right path. If there's a path, then you have to walk. If you don't walk, you will not reach the destination. So undertaking the practice, and as much as you undertake the practice, you are bound to reach the right destination, the place, the land of peace and freedom from harm. So once you get there, the third quality is requirement is that one must be able to utilize, make use of this attainment. That is, once you have reached that path, you should be able to make use of it. That means walk and walk again. And such is the requirements of the Dhamma practitioner. And whoever is fulfills these requirements is said to be the Dhamma practitioner or practitioner. Now, how to walk this path? That you have to study first, learn it. How to purify, how to conduct your physical, verbal, mental behaviors in the right way. How to behave correctly and rightly. And first, in this way, you learn it, learn how to do it. And by learning, you will not straighten this path as yet. You will not correct your physical, verbal, mental behaviors as yet. You cannot conduct them in the right way as yet. Only when you practice as you learn will you be able to do that. Let us say, in order to abstain from verbal, physical and verbal misconduct, you have to have a predetermination, taking certain vows and having this volitional act, intention, chirana, constantly. And as much as you have this volition, predetermination and intention, and when occasion arises to commit such things, verbal, physical and verbal misconduct, you can practice the restraint of your physical and verbal behaviors, such as walking the right path, samvaro sila, the morality with the practice of restraint of physical and verbal behaviors. And when you come across, when you have occasion to commit them, you actually abstain them. In actual practice, you abstain them. First, you have this predetermination. Second one is you actually abstain from committing transgressive actions. Avidekamo sila, that means you are abstaining. Even if you have the opportunity, you have the chance to commit them. So in this way, there's a restraint and abstention. All these things make up this sila. And so with the predetermination, and you can overcome this kaya tuchita, vichita tuchita, physical misconduct and verbal misconduct. That is walking the right path. And in this way, if you walk the right path, your physical, verbal behaviors will become purified, blameless, refined, impeccable. And because you are free from transgressive actions by body and speech, your behaviors or your conduct become affable. So just whenever you reflect upon your actions, your purity of your blamelessness, you will be satisfied with your life. And there will be no self-blame. And you will not be blamed by the society, by others, especially by the virtuous. Nor will you be disciplined by the existing laws. And because you have this freedom from physical and verbal misconduct, you will not fall into wrongful or miserable destinies. Your future life is assured. So as much as you abstain, you practice restraint and abstain, you'll be free from dangers. Such is the practice of morality, sila alone, and not yet the practice of concentration and wisdom. And even with the practice of sila, you are good enough. So, first of all, you learn or study how to conduct yourself in a good way, physically, verbally. Then undertake that practice in accordance with what you have learned. You are bound to get the positive consequences by way of purification of physical and verbal behaviors. Such is the result of walking the right path. Because one is fulfilled with the morality, being grounded in the moral conduct. One is pure by body and speech. One is conducting one's physical and verbal behaviors in the right way, so that they become refined and blameless, unblemished. But still, if your mind is not cultivated as yet, you will still be obsessed with impurities. You will not be able to prevent these impurities from arising in the stream of consciousness. You need to practice in order to be free from these obsessive defilements. Otherwise the mind can still be impure, and one can still possess a crooked mind, not a pure mind. One can possess impure mind, blameworthy mind. So, in order to purify this mind, one has got to practice again. Such a practice is the practice of samadhi, concentration. In other words, the practice of Satipatthana, the way of mindfulness. Guard yourself with vigilant mindfulness of every arising. Every arising means every seeing, tasting, touching, and so on. Sustaining your mindfulness, using your driving force with scrupulous attention to note the object, arising object, and as much as you are able to do so, so long as you exert your energy, you'll be blocking the path to akusala and opening the way of wholesomeness. And because your wholesome deeds, practice is headed or led by sati, mindfulness, your mind is protected from impurities. Because sati has the power of protection, of guarding your mind. And as much as you sustain your mindfulness, your concentration will become intensified, and so that there will be no scattering of the mind. And because you are constantly applying this energy, the way to kusala will be open, and all the wholesome deeds will arise in the whole mind stream of consciousness. And because of the possession of sati, mindfulness, kilesas will not enter because your mind is protected. And with concentration being intensified, there will be no scattering of the mind. Instead, the mind will only fall calm and collected on an object of attention. In this way, you'll be practicing the concentration group known as Viriya Sati Samadhi. So if you apply your mindfulness, then there will be no crookedness which can arise if you lose mindfulness, and you are protecting yourself by not allowing these unwholesome deeds rising in your stream of consciousness. So even first protection or prevention, then treatment. Treatment means when the impurities do arise in your stream of consciousness, in your mind, or you become obsessed, you can note and overcome it. You can gain the upper hand of it by noting with scrupulous noting. In this way, you'll be able to overcome or straighten your mano-dosrita, obsessive defilements, obsessive impurities, in two ways: by protection and by prevention of protection, and then by treatment, that means noting them off. So in this way, you are preventing, noting, preventing, treating, preventing, noting. So in this way, you gain the upper hand of these undesirable, undermining elements. In this way, you are said to have overcome or abandon these impurities. So as much as your noting mind is vigorous, you will be free from crooked mind, impure mind. There will be only pure mind arising in the stream of consciousness. Such is walking the right path. In this way, you overcome or skada trita, vijita, physical misconduct, moral misconduct, straighten these crookedness with sila, morality, by practicing the restraint and abandoning, avoiding, abstaining, abandoning, avoiding, abandoning, and overcome this manotrita, mental misconduct, straighten this crookedness with the practice of mindfulness sati by preventing, treating, and overcoming or subduing. So this subduing, overcoming is also very important. You must do it, you must subdue it, overcome it to the point of no return. So this stage also has to be reached, has to be practiced. Such can be done with the practice of penya, aseka, the wisdom training. As you note the object as it arises, that noting mind becomes concurrent with the object of attention, and then with the practice, with the consistent practice of concurrency, you are able to see or observe true nature of mind, body, from the basics through the stages of insight, knowledge, until you are able to realize the path consciousness. So with the insight with the realization of inside knowledge, you can overcome these dutyritas, unwholesome deeds, on a part-time basis. And when you realize the path consciousness, Riya Mega, you'll be able to bend down, overcome, uproot the respective defilements and duties on a full-time basis to the point of no return. So one has got to walk or practice until that stage, until we reach that stage. So this is such as the person, such persons are the persons practicing according to the principles of the Dhamma, according to the guide, what has been given in the what has been guided. So if one walks as guided, then one is bound to reach the land of peace, Kemata Bhumi, land of freedom. So such a person is known as Mega Patipana, Kemata Bhumi Pata. Mega Patipana means the one, because one walks the right path, one reaches the right destination, that is Kemata Bhumi Pata. We shall continue tomorrow.